I always said I want to win 5 races and retire, so I'm probably not going to compete this weekend. I think I'm done. So it's changed pretty dramatically, my position in the sport. Beyond that, for the team, I guess, well, yeah, they got to find another driver, and but also, okay, there's the stress of finding someone else, but then it's also a big confidence boost. They got to win.
If there is any driver that we have no idea what the future holds for him, that has to be Daniel Ricciardo. The Aussie has been linked to multiple teams for the 2023 seat after his agreement with McLaren when it comes to the buyout terms, but it seems like he's far away from giving up on the F1 sport if there is a chance that any team would want him. However, it's very unlikely that Ricciardo will land a seat in 2023 on any team as a starting driver. This is why the question has started to emerge. Will Ricciardo retire from F1? Is this it? Are we seeing the last races of the Aussie in F1? Well, stick around with us as we'll explore the options that Ricciardo has.
I was gonna retire. I will not know more.
Ricciardo's tenure with McLaren was an infamous one, and it seems like the bad form he had with the team affected his reputation, and he isn't able to find a seat from 2023 and beyond. In 2021, the only highlight of Ricciardo's season was the win in Monza and a couple of top 10 finishes. That was his 8th and potentially the last win in F1 as things stand, because his options aren't really wide as we initially thought. Ricciardo was related to Alpine right when the Piastri-Alpine saga started, as it would have been the perfect solution. Piastri was back then rumoured to have signed a deal with McLaren, as Ricciardo was the perfect replacement for him in Alpine at that time. After all, why not? Both sides are well known to each other, as Ricciardo did win a couple of podium place finishes for Renault, now known as Alpine, in 2020. He finished P5 in the Drivers' Championship, then he signed with McLaren in 2021 in what turned out to be the worst possible move ever for the Aussie. However, Alpine has decided to move on from Ricciardo and decided they don't want to invest in him in the near future, as they're looking to sign Gasly, if a proper replacement could be found in AlphaTauri. This is the team where everything started for Ricciardo, and although there were a couple of rumours that Ricciardo could replace Gasly in AlphaTauri, with the Frenchman going to Alpine, seems like the Italian team is more satisfied with De Vries's potential and performance in his first race in Williams and are eager to bring him as a replacement for Gasly. So that's another door closed for Ricciardo, and amid all of these talks, he's been related to Haas. Now, Günther Steiner has contacted Ricciardo prior to the whole silly season taking full swing, and it became evident that the Aussie would be a perfect fit alongside Magnussen. Schumacher is well on his way out of the team, and according to Steiner, they're looking for a candidate with experience and a candidate with speed. However, he did say that they need to be careful when it comes to Danny, and even though everybody speculates that Ricciardo will go to Haas, there is a possibility that the team doesn't want him. It turns out it's a real and present possibility, as Haas contacted Giovinazzi and Hülkenberg for the replacement. A huge factor that goes in this way is Daniel's salary. He's set to receive $15 million for the buyout terms with McLaren, and Haas, alongside Williams, has nowhere near this amount of money to pay for Ricciardo. That's why they're seeking a driver that's looking to prove themselves, whether that's for the first time like De Vries or for the second time like Giovinazzi or Hülkenberg, as they're more than willing to receive smaller paychecks just to drive again in the sport. Ricciardo did speak about his future and said that he sees his future in F1 according to how things stand and wouldn't think of another sport if there's an opportunity to stay here. He said, "I wouldn't give up on F1. If it means I'm not on the grid next year, I'll certainly try to find a way to be on there in 2024. It's honestly the only racing I'm really interested in at the moment. My mindset is still, I'm an F1 driver. I'm proud of what I've done, but I still feel there's a bit more to show, to give. I wouldn't race another category next year," said Ricciardo. "The truth is, I'm keeping every option open, not only for next year, but for the future. I still don't know what next year looks like. As Lewis said earlier, I do want to be on the grid. I do want to race, although it's certainly been a challenging time in my career. It hasn't taken the love of the sport away from me, and that desire to still be here and still compete," finished Ricciardo. He also spoke about a project, and when asked whether he could join a team that does have a plan for long-term winning, he answered positively, adding, "I still definitely have the ability to love a project, but of course, if there's this longer project and this one where you're going to win tomorrow, of course I'm going to go for the quick wins. They are things I would definitely give some thought to. I don't also want to be stubborn or short-sighted and be like, oh no, I'm not interested in that. I'll give everything its respected thought. From 2017, every 2 years I've been with a different team. I don't want to just sign something and think, wait now, something else is there for 2024. So it's probably not as simple as just getting somewhere on the grid next year. It can probably go in many different directions, so I don't think it needs an immediate decision. It's going to be about what's best for me. Nevertheless, this is unlikely to be the case with Ricciardo, as the most realistic thing that he could settle with is the role of a reserve driver in either McLaren or Mercedes. However, McLaren is unlikely to be his next destination, as he doesn't see a future with his team given the fact that the team has the youngest combination of drivers on the grid. Mercedes is an attractive market for him, and according to Joe Sayward, the team has reached out to Ricciardo regarding the reserve driver role. Now, why is this a good thing for him? Because Hamilton's contract expires at the end of 2023. Ricciardo's chance of hopping in Mercedes in 2024 is a very real and possible one. At least, it was until Hamilton spoke about this matter. Prior to the Monza GP, both Hamilton and Russell were asked about the opportunity of Ricciardo joining the team as a reserve driver in 2023. According to Hamilton, Ricciardo is too good of a driver to accept that role, and if he was the manager, he wouldn't do such. I think he's far too talented and he's earned the right to be amongst us all racing. If he's part of our team, that'll be great, but the third role is not really what's best for him. If I was managing him, he'd be racing, said Hamilton, who also added that he has never felt better in his 37 years of life and that he plans to extend the deal with Mercedes in the upcoming period. For me, I feel healthier than I've ever felt. I'm feeling fit, I love what I'm doing, and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. My goal is always to be with Mercedes. I signed with them in 1997. I love that we have the long partnership we have. I feel like we're embarking on a lot of really positive things, not only in the sport but outside, and I think it's a lot to accomplish together. I want to be a part of that, finished Hamilton. So, this is truly shutting the door on any possible voyage that Ricciardo was planning with Mercedes. If Hamilton is to continue racing in 2024, then the chances of Ricciardo competing in F1 are becoming slim to none. It's evident that other teams have decided to go with much younger and prospective options compared to him, which is why he may consider the IndyCar 500 offer that was made for him by McLaren. Drivers like Raikkonen and Kvyat have joined NASCAR after their F1 experience, and although Ricciardo retiring from the sport would be a painful thing for us to see, it's not the end of the racing career for him. Russell said that it would be a delight to have Ricciardo as a teammate and that the track record speaks for itself. Although we do believe him, it's very unlikely that Ricciardo will join Mercedes, as Hamilton is planning on extending his deal with a Brackley-based team, and it's very likely that the Aussie will have to consider the retirement as a very realistic option.
I have thoughts about, oh, what am I going to do when I retire one day? Because it's all I've done my whole life. So for sure, like, I've had the thoughts of what will I do, but I haven't, I guess, put in a lot of thought of this is the direction I'm going to go, this is what I'm going to do.
So, what do you think is next for Ricciardo? Do you think that he should consider retirement from the sport and that enough is enough? Let us know in the comments below.